Hello, once again, Dr. Blake Myers here, a naturopathic physician and author of The Bridge System. And uh, how many of you have heard of adrenal fatigue before? If you're feeling fatigue or brain fog, or maybe some other symptoms in menopause or in the perimenopausal time period, it's probably, I was going to say possible, maybe even likely that someone along the way has told you, it sounds like you have adrenal fatigue, and you need to address your adrenal glands. And this is a common concept in some natural medicine circles of different sorts and in popular culture and different places, but it's really a misnomer, and it's misleading. Adrenal fatigue is actually not a real it's not a real medical diagnosis, and it gives this implication that your adrenals are tired and that your adrenals can't keep up with the job at hand. Now, it is possible that in some situations that maybe that could happen, but in general, that's not really what we're talking about. We're usually what's happening is that there's a dysregulation, and there's a couple things that might be happening. So one could be a dysregulation in the system. Your brain has to send the signals to your adrenal glands to respond. Your adrenal glands make all kinds of different hormones and molecules that do everything from address mineral balance in your body to stress response. They make adrenaline, which is where they get adrenal gland. So they make epinephrine, that's adrenaline. And cortisol is the one most people are familiar with. Cortisol is a stress hormone, but it does all kinds of things in the body. It can suppress the immune system, which sometimes is your body needs to do that. It can alter blood glucose. It's part of the blood glucose regulatory system. So there's lots of things it's doing. It's not just like, oh, I'm stressed and my cortisol's up. It's much more complicated than that. But this brain and adrenal connection is called the HPA axis. It's a long name. It's hypothalamic pituitary axis. Just call it the HPA axis. It's the brain adrenal system. And what happens is a lot of times that system, for different reasons, can get dysregulated. And it would be more likely for that to get dysregulated in a time like in perimenopause and menopause. That system is susceptible to increased inflammation. It's susceptible to dysregulations in sleep, and it's kind of a two-way street. Sleep dysregulation can start to mess up this HPA axis, but your HPA axis being messed up, dysregulated, can really mess up sleep as well. So that is more common, and there's also the possibility that your body is responding. It's not that your adrenals are an issue or the only issue. Maybe your body is responding to the cortisol differently. Maybe you're not responding in the same way anymore because your body is like, I'm not supposed to have this much cortisol, and so I'm going to respond to it differently so that I try to protect myself. There's a lot of potential things going on. So if this is the problem, HPA axis dysregulation, which is more what would be understood from the research that we have on this, there are some areas that you want to focus on to bring that back into balance. One, sleep hygiene is really important. Try to regulate your sleep. And I understand that if this is going on, it will mess up your sleep, but also doing your best to have a routine and a set bedtime and wake up time, it is really important in this process. And also, doing things to help yourself be able to get into the sleep mode more effectively and fall asleep more effectively when you lay down to go to sleep. And I also recommend, and I talk about those things in the Bridge System guidebook, and also in the morning, I always tell people just wait at least a half an hour after you get up before you have coffee. Let your body, and your cortisol goes up in the morning naturally, it's supposed to. So try to let your body wake up naturally. And all of this can play a role in trying to start to heal this HPA axis system. Blood sugar is a really important one. So if you're having blood sugar dysregulation, or you're eating in a way that's giving big spikes in blood sugar and then it's going down, you want to try to avoid that. And if you start with the Celerate diet and start to then add in more of the plants and the fiber that I talk about going into phase 2 of the Bridge System, your blood sugar regulation should really start to improve. But it's so important to think about that, and doing the walking routine that I mentioned as well, and working out, resistance training, that's all important for blood sugar regulation. But any of those things that I've talked about or that you already know about are very important, because blood sugar dysregulation will mess up this whole brain adrenal system. And then inflammation would just be another one that I would really think about. There are different reasons you can have chronic inflammation, but I talked in the last video about the importance of many of the things that we talked about in these videos already, but then I focused in on the diet, right, again, and just saying how foundational the diet is to balancing inflammation. If there's other reasons that you have inflammation, such as, sometimes people have other health issues, right? It's not like menopause can be the primary driver of symptoms, but there's a kind of a rule in medicine that it's like there can be as many things going on as there is going on. Like, there doesn't have to just be one thing. So maybe you have another health condition, like an autoimmune condition, and your menopause is making the autoimmune condition worse, or something like that. So you also need to address the autoimmune condition in addition to all the things that that I talk about here with menopause. So any other causes that you know of for inflammation, do your best to address those things. And sometimes you need to do it with a medical provider, but that's a really important one, because getting that taken care of will help your HPA axis, your adrenal system, start to heal. And the last one, stress management. It would be great if we could all just eliminate so much of the stress from our lives. And sometimes we have control over it and sometimes we don't. And so I really encourage you to do your best to accept the things that you can't change in your life. And the things that you can change, put your energy into those things. And if you can remove stressors in some way, absolutely do it. But if you can't, then start to find ways to manage stress. And I'm going to talk about that in the next email and video, some of the different ways. And I'll have a video on one of my favorite ways to do this. But managing stress is so important. And so that means that if you can't remove the stress, it means to find new ways to orient to the way that the stress impacts you. Find new ways to release that stress from your body, from your mind. Lots of different approaches, right? But you have to find what those are for you, because just being overwhelmed from stress by itself is enough to cause a dysregulation in the HPA axis. And some of the things I said, these some of the symptoms of this are also symptoms that you could have in menopause, and you might be thinking, oh gosh, this menopausal transition is so difficult. I'm so fatigued, I have so much brain fog, and I'm tired all the time, and I have sugar cravings, and like all this stuff. But you might find that if you're also overwhelmed with stress and you focus in on just that area, like I was just talking about, you might see, wow, a lot of those symptoms start to improve, and maybe they were even more related to that than they were to the menopause, and maybe menopause then feels a lot easier. You know what I mean? So these are really important things to think about. I know it's a lot of information, but these are the concepts that I bring, from a holistic natural medicine perspective, and these are the things I talk to patients about. So I just want to share that with you. If you find this useful, please share our social media and YouTube channel with other people, and subscribe. That always helps us here on our channel. And please share the Bridge System Guidebook with someone. Thanks for being here and for taking us on your journey. Bye.